spoken to donors, and I've also spoken to One Blood employees only. And it's much harder speaking to you as donors because you help save people's lives, and you've helped save my life. So it's a very emotional thing standing here in front of you guys, and I just can't tell you how grateful I am for what you do for me, for others. You literally, as Dan just stated, have added more time to our lives, more days than what we would have had. And I'm very, very grateful and can't express that enough to you. My name's Natalie, and I was diagnosed with AML leukemia last April 2018. At that time, my world stopped and I changed and I had a new path of life. That Tuesday afternoon, I had gone to lunch with a girlfriend of mine and had a doctor's appointment with my primary that afternoon to get a referral for a dermatologist. I had a little bump underneath my eyebrow that I thought, and it had been there about 2 weeks. I thought it was either an ingrown hair or a pimple that was being stubborn, but it wouldn't go away. And so it was bothering me, so I went to my doctor. She gave me the dermatologist referral I needed, and after that I figured, well, while I have her here and it's such a pain to go through and get referrals and stuff, I said, I'm feeling fatigued. I'm a Zumba instructor. I teach 5 classes a week, and all of a sudden I'm fatigued. I'm not making it through my classes. I don't have the stamina I had. I was getting random bruises in different places, and my son had just had leg surgery, and so one of us had to sleep with him to make sure he wasn't getting up out of bed. I thought, well, maybe he's kicking me with his cast, and I'm just not aware of it. I didn't know why I was bruising so easily. So I said, maybe we should draw some blood and see if I'm out of whack with something. She agreed. I did that, thought nothing of it. I had a little bit of itchy throat that morning, and so she said, well, strep's going around, I'll do a strep test as well. Ran the strep test and left there, went home, prepared my playlist as I usually do for my class at 5:30, and my cell phone rang, and it was my doctor. She asked me to get a piece of paper and write down some numbers that at that time meant nothing to me. She said, you need to go to the ER. And I said, why? And I kind of got rude, probably, because I thought, who calls you up? You have the wrong patient, I'm not sick, I was just feeling fatigued, and you're telling me to go to the ER. And so I wrote down the numbers she gave me and told my husband when I hung up, and he said, well, Nat, why don't you listen to her and go to the ER? It's probably nothing, but why don't we just go ahead and, follow through. So we did that, and that visit I left that afternoon. That evening, I found a sub 40 minutes before my class started. I went in my Zumba clothes to the hospital, and I said goodbye to my 13-year-old daughter and my 11-year-old son, and as I normally would do on a Tuesday evening, and said, I'll see you when I get home from Zumba. I wasn't going to worry them for something crazy that I thought. So went there, and of course you have to wait forever to be seen. Once they took me back, they confirmed that I did have leukemia. And along with that, I had a FLT3 mutation, which made it even more complicated. That would require me to have a transplant as well. So I did that. I went through 3 rounds of chemo, and it was on a cycle of every 28 days. But when that FLT3 mutation came back is when it got out of Tampa General, couldn't handle me anymore. They transferred me to Moffitt. I was there total of 38 days and then was released. At that that time, they started looking for donors, and I have two sisters younger than me. Neither one of them were a match, but out of this, we found out that the two of them are identical matches. So that's the running joke in our family, is they said, well, you always got the tan and the Brazilian part from our father and my dad, and we always looked American and boring, so this is our payback. So kind of, we're trying to make a little bit of light out of it. But they started the donor process, and at that time, I was told there's over 14,000 people waiting for matches. And a very difficult process, and people sit around and wait. Some people don't make it while they wait. But I had a huge, huge family and friend support. They advocated, they did blood drives, they did donor drives for Be a Match. My family and friends did everything that they knew how to do or could do at that time. I can't say enough about my family and friends support group. Because of them, I think I'm here, along with people like you that give blood, that you guys give life to us. I think there was one day in the hospital that I received 4 bags of platelets, several blood transfusions, and you literally sit there and wait. You get your numbers first thing in the morning, and you wait. Is there blood to give me? Is there platelets to give me? And those become questions you ask yourself every single day. Before that, I'm embarrassed to say, I didn't even know or had never even heard of the word platelets. But now it's weekly vocabulary word for me, because I still get weekly blood draws. There's good and bad days. I became very close to the One Blood location on Kennedy Boulevard and the employees there. I go there periodically to say hi to them, and they don't like me walking all over and coming to see donors, but this is why I enjoy venues like this so much, because I am able to personally thank you. If I go up to a person in a chair at the One Blood location, first they probably say, why are you walking over here? But I get to thank you personally, and I know I'm speaking for other recipients as well as myself. As Dan stated, the need for blood and platelets is constant. They're usually used within 2 to 3 days, and there's blood being transported all over the place, 365 days a year, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day for people like me in need. And it's unbelievable to think that 1 in 3 of us will at some point in our lives need blood transfusions. And again, this all brought awareness to me that I was unfamiliar with. So with an ugly situation, I'm also grateful for where I am at today and what I know now, and I am more knowledgeable about this kind of thing with life. My passion and my love is for Zumba. And after I had my chemo rounds and they found a donor, the transplant was set for the end of August. I went back to teaching my classes before I went in for transplant, and on August 22nd, I went in that morning, taught my class, and I told my class, I need everybody's energy. No crying. This is the last class until I return, but I need your energy. I'm being admitted this afternoon, and all I need is positivity. And they gave it to me. I taught that class, I went home, got my orange suitcase, the color of leukemia, and my family took me and I was admitted to Moffitt for the transplant. I underwent 5 days of extensive chemo that they say basically is a bomb and clears out your body of your own cells. And then on August 30th, I received my stem cell donors cells. I stayed in at Moffitt for 30 days after that, in isolation, because then I caught a virus. I couldn't see my son during that time because of the age limit at Moffitt, so it was a very difficult time with a teenager, hormones, female, and then a son that didn't really comprehend why he couldn't go and see his mom, that all of a sudden his mom was not there. My family and friends made sure that there was not one night during that stay that I was by myself. They were with me the whole time through this, so they're my heroes, you guys are my heroes. I would not have been able to get to transplant if it wasn't for you guys. I had to be leukemia free, I had to have blood, I had to have platelets in order to get to that step, and that's what was gonna keep me alive. My body was 94% full of leukemia at that point, and when I was in denial and telling the doctor, no, I have to go, I have kids, I had a trip planned to the Dominican Republic the following week for my 20th wedding anniversary, and I thought they were all crazy. And I said, what are my other options? And he said, I give you a couple weeks. So my family made sure that that did not happen, and I was going through chemo and transplant whether I wanted to or not. The process of having and recovering from a transplant was and still is an incredibly taxing event, both physically and emotionally. I have good and bad days now, and I pace myself. There's some days I have no energy, and there's days that I feel really good and go and teach Zumba. After I was discharged from my transplant, I went and stayed the next 100 days at my dad's house, and there my mom and dad were my caregivers 24 hours a day for the next 100 days in an isolation bubble, limited visitors, limited exposure. They explain it as a newborn baby, and I had to keep infection and everything down to a minimum and try to heal and get my body stronger and get my body to accept my donor's stem cells. So it was my bubble, is the way I can compare it to. Luckily, it wasn't too far from home, so I was able to at least see my kids then, but they had to be showered and clean clothes and not coming straight from school to see me, just to reduce infection. Fast forward to today, and I'm 245 days post-transplant, and I think I'm doing good. I focus on the positives. I'm very big about celebrating milestones. My family made sure to celebrate my first 100 days, then I celebrated my first 200 days. I went back at the beginning of February and started teaching my morning Zumba classes again, and I've been able to do that with a couple canceling classes here and there, but overall, I was able to go back to what I loved, and a very supportive students with a lot of love, support, and prayers there. This weekend, I attended a bone marrow transplant survivor symposium in Orlando, and was actually able to meet the first gentleman who received a transplant ever, and he came in from England. So that was amazing, and very nice to be surrounded in a room with hundreds of people that had gone through the same thing as myself and are living. I celebrate every day, because if it wasn't for you guys and for me getting here today, I wouldn't be here. And I have to celebrate those days and every moment that I have with my children, my family. I come from a very, very strong family, and it's wonderful. My biggest challenge right now is juggling inhibitors that they want me on, because even after going through all of this chemo and transplant, there is still a chance of the leukemia coming back. So they try to give me inhibitors, and unfortunately they have very bad side effects. I didn't know if I'd be able to even wear shoes today because you just swell up with them. But I'll take that over not being here. And you just learn to adjust and make modifications. I've become very passionate about advocating for leukemia with one blood. I have always advocated for my children. I have a son with autism and a chromosomal abnormality, and I've always advocated for him, trying to get the word out there, make people more aware of his condition, since it's so rare, not the autism piece, but he has a deletion on one of his chromosomes. And now the tables have kind of turned, and I want to do the same for myself and make people more aware. So I've come to speak at things like this for you guys for several reasons. To take care of yourself. As Dan said, there's wellness checks. Do those wellness checks and take care of yourself. You're the only one who can do it and has control of doing it. So make sure you make that time for yourself and take care of yourself. Again, to bring awareness and advocate for it, and for you to find and help recruit healthy individuals to be donors. There's such a need for it. It's constant, and I know One Blood is always making phone calls. Please come and donate your platelets. Again, we need you. You know, we're short in one type of blood. You have no idea the impact that it makes on these people. And unfortunately, you guys don't see it in the end of when you're helping people, but just know the minute that you sit in that chair and are doing a donation, whether it be blood, platelets, plasma, that you are making a difference in people's lives and giving them 1 day, 2 days, a year, a month. You just never know, but you are making a difference. Also to instill this in my own children so that they do good and follow in your footsteps in what you're doing for us. And lastly, the reason I enjoy this so much is because I can come and thank you personally. And I want you to be able to hear it from a recipient of how much it does mean to us and how important it is. And we can't thank you enough. I know my family can't thank you enough. It's priceless. So I like to say, you can never be ready for the challenges that come along with receiving a transplant. But with the right support team of family and friends and prayers, the journey is definitely a lot easier. And I can't thank you enough, and thank you for letting me share my story today.